a lot of people say, well, I don't like social media. Well, if you want to be a business owner, too bad.
Yeah. No one knows you're the industry expert unless you say it. And you don't even have to be the best. As Gary Vee says, document, don't create. I used to work in front-end media production. So I used to be a broadcaster for professional sports teams. So I would be like on ESPN, MSG Plus, interviewing like coaches, players, all that good stuff. Cool. That was my dream, to be like on the camera, that person. One day I absolutely hated it. And I went behind the scenes. This is when podcasting was so new.
Nice.
I never wanted to end up in front of the camera again. I've grown many of clients' podcasts, millions and millions of views, right? How can I do that for them when I can't prove that I do it for myself? So I brought myself back in front of the camera finally.
Two things. Number one, you do not have to be at the top of the mountain to be a guide. All you have to do is be ahead of someone else. So I don't need to be Joe Rogan to coach someone else on how to grow and scale their business.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Lead Gen podcast. Today we have a guest, Alan Lazaros. As a coach, trainer, podcaster, Alan believes in a heart-driven but no BS approach to achieving both external and internal fulfillment. So after listening to Alan's story and seeing some things, you have really defined what success looks like for yourself. So if you're open to it, we would all love to hear more about how you went from having your dream life per se in corporate, leaving it all to become a business coach and podcaster and soon to be published author from what it sounds like.
Yes. So first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
I really appreciate it. It's important for me to open with that because I started listening to podcasts 10 years ago, and they really helped me sort of reconstruct my life in a much more positive direction. So it's kind of cool to be able to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm so excited because, I've checked out in your world of podcasting and business. I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, hundreds of podcasts. So I'm definitely excited to have you on. But just to get into it, I would love to hear about your transition from corporate to now business coach. If you could dive into that a little bit for my audience.
Absolutely. I'll give you the briefest, I know it's short form, so I'll give you the briefest possible version. So I'm 36 years old. I'm going to condense 36 years into 3 minutes. So started off tough. Grew up in Massachusetts. Father passed away in a car when he was 28 years old when I was 2. That is relevant to why I flipped from corporate. Had a stepfather from age 3 to 14. That's why my last name is Lazaros. His name was Steve Lazaros. He left my family at 14. And I sort of had a interesting response to that. Mine was sort of look into the future and no trust fund, no generational wealth. We're in some trouble. I had an older sister and my mom at the time. So he got the yacht and the apartment building. We got the house and the dog. And we went from pretty well off financially anyways to pretty broke. And I went from I hope I get into college to even if I do get into my favorite college, it's $50,000 a year, WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Wanted to be an engineer. I'm not going to be able to go because we don't have the money. So I got bootstrapped my way through high school, straight A's, all the financial aid and scholarships I can, computer engineering, master's in business, went into corporate, tech company. iRobots, Sensata Technologies, Oz Development, Lens Americas, eventually landed at a company called Cognex. That's what you're referring to, my corporate career. I sold industrial automation equipment into manufacturing facilities, inside sales engineer, started a little inside sales team, then outside sales engineer, and was on the road. So my territory was Vermont, Connecticut, and Western Massachusetts. Think of big manufacturing facilities and big ice cream companies and chip companies and aerospace companies, all kinds of stuff. Did very, very well. Went from 65 to 85, 85 to 105, 105 to 125, went from 125 to 180 in many different jobs, many different hats in corporate, many different companies too. This is all within like a 3 or 4 year period. Just wild. Then I get in my car accident. So I'm 26 at the time, 36 now, even though I look 15. Doesn't help my business career. But that was 10 years ago, and fortunately I was okay, but essentially it got me to reassess my life and realize that I was not living. So the quote that I use that I think a lot of people have heard is, Some people have a job, some people have a career, and some people have a calling. And for me at 26, I found my calling. And I started a little company called Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know. And I fell in love with personal development, self-improvement, the inner work. So before I was sort of an external achiever, but I was internally unfulfilled, flipped the script, started my own company. Now I was a mindset coach for a while. I was a fitness coach for a while. I was a fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach. I eventually did peak performance coaching. Started a podcast 8 years ago called the Hyperconscious Podcast. It was rebranded to Next Level University. We just crossed our 2000th episode, which is wild. And now, to answer your original question about business coaching, what it became is I'm growing my own company. And so I have this sort of thing that I'll give to all your listeners. I call it a flywheel, but have you ever heard of the flywheel concept?
Of course I have.
Of course.
Yes. Love to hear
Got it
it.
right here. Boom. Of course, Jim Collins. Okay. Well, I have my own sort of little flywheel within this space. So do it yourself is the first one. Do it yourself. So I'm growing my own company. Share your experience. That's sort of social media. Okay. You obviously know that, lead gen. Then you've got a podcast where you generate sincere interest, where you go from social media inspiration, motivation to actual education, teaching other people how to do it. Then the next one is build meaningful relationships, which is what you and I are doing right now, okay, with the right target audience. Then the last one is do it for others. So I grow my own company. I share my experience on social media, what it's like to grow a company. I generate sincere interest. I'm starting a podcast called Business Growth University this year. I build meaningful relationships with other business owners constantly. And then I get the privilege, assuming you do the first 4 well, you get the privilege to coach other business owners. So right now I coach 19 other business owners. We work with, as of yesterday, 104 podcasters and business owners regularly, paying clients. 18-person team. Again, why am I saying all this? Bring it back to your listener. Started out coaching for free 8 years ago, mentoring 10 years, coaching 8, because we didn't get paid for the first 2. We've made more money in one client this year than we did the entire first 2 years in business. And so we're doing very, very well, and I'm very, very grateful. However, to really share how I transitioned from corporate to business, it was basically go all in on my passion, realize that the only way to turn your passion into profit is to continue going even when it's really hard. And then you have to find a way to help other people with your passion for a profit. And I think that's the hardest part. So we can get into that.
Yeah, no, I love your flywheel method. I love all that. And a big common denominator I'm hearing is value and connection. That's a really big common denominator. And since you're saying certain things, it made me think of someone who I worked with. His name is Ezra Firestone. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but you're talking about making money versus risk versus doing what you love and everything. And he has this whole mission where he says, serve the world unselfishly and profit. So saying it's okay to make money. Like you have to put food on the table. It's okay to want the boat. It's okay to want those things, but serve the world and give, and you can profit at the same time. Like it's okay. But I'm getting a little bit of that message from you, which I really like.
Well, the important piece there to understand, and I think that this is backwards for a lot of people, it's passion into purpose into profit. It has to be in that order.
Yes.
So passion is something that you are obsessed with. You're so obsessed with it, in fact, that you're really, really good at it. Whatever that might be. Books, movies, podcasting, podcast production, business, personal development, whatever it is. Purpose is helping other people with that passion. Profit is the third thing to come. So if I am good enough at snowboarding, and again, this is just a metaphor.
Yeah.
If I'm good enough at snowboarding and then I go on the X Games and other people are entertained by that, then I will make a profit. So it's passion into purpose into profit. It has to be in that order. Most people have the order wrong. They want the profit first. People say, it must be so nice. You're CEO and founder of your own company. It must be so nice to work for yourself. Listen, I work for 104 people. We have 104 clients, right? So there is no working for yourself. I had someone in their 20s say, I don't want to trade my time for money. and she was an ex-client of mine. And I said, you're 24 and you're broke. You're going to have to trade your time for money at first, right? And I understand what she meant. She wants passive income and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you have to serve first, profit second, and it has to stay in that order. But you do need both, because I remember for me, it was serve, 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 no profit. And then I overswung and it was trying to go profit first, and that doesn't work. You get arrogant, you get entitled, you start buying cars and shit, and you lose sight of what actually built the company. And so you got to swing that pendulum and keep it centered, which is serve first, profit second. It has to be in that order. It has to stay in that order too. Even right now, I'm here to serve first.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, such a good message. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good. I think my audience will definitely utilize that. But, I know you talked about just in your past episodes you've been on and your content and everything. I know you're saying your resume showcases your experience, but how I take it is how you present yourself is what truly builds authority. Now, I'm just talking about being in front of your niche and your authority. No one will know your expertise unless you share it, which is a very hard position to be in, because you can be that expert, but if no one knows about it, what good is it, right? My job is to help business owners and brands position themselves as industry experts through podcasting. So kind of like that little transition piece there.
Yep.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to make that transition but feels uncomfortable putting themselves out there?
Yeah, I call it a want, love, hate framework. I use this with my clients. I've been coaching again for 8 years. And I'm saying this not to brag, but because I want to show the credibility. I've got over 7,000 hours tracked of one-on-one coaching with individuals. So I'm not just saying this. This is actual,
documented
from real experience. What I've come to realize is that every goal we want to achieve in life has this want, love, hate framework attached to it. Every time. So I'll give you an example. I want to be in great shape. I love weight training, but I hate dieting. Can't stand it. Okay, love eating whatever I want. Guess what I have to do to get the great body? Diet. Now, to answer your question about the people out there that are struggling to put themselves out there, 2 things. There's 2 approaches you can take. Number 1, you can be more on the operations side and be behind the scenes and hire someone or co-found with someone that is more of a front-facing human being. I'm an introverted computer engineer who has learned how to be extroverted. I prefer to be behind the scenes doing one-on-one coaching. Kevin prefers to do front-facing. So so I have coaching, training, podcasting. So podcasting is casting a wider net. Training is a little more narrow, and then coaching is one-on-one, very specific, lots of depth. So with breadth and depth, you got to figure out which one you are. So I'm way better at depth. I can do breadth, short form interviews. As you can tell, like my story, it's hard for me to condense it. I got a lot to say here. So I don't cast wide nets as well as my business partner, Kevin. I do very, very, very well with one-on-one clients. So everyone out there watching or listening, you got to figure out which one you are. Are you the breadth person who's really good in front of the scenes, who can make things simple and concise, who people resonate with and you're relatable? Or do you need to be a little bit more behind the scenes and operational? And once you figure that out, bring up this want, love, hate framework. I want to build a successful business based on self-improvement, personal development, personal growth. I love one-on-one coaching. One thing that I will be honest with that I don't really love that much is social media. Guess who doesn't get to build a company without social media, right? So there's always something we hate in the way of something we love and we want. And usually what we want is on the other side of something we hate. And so we either have to delegate it to someone else and learn how to lead, which also can be a challenge, or we have to suck it up and do it ourselves. So this is what I've convinced myself of. Alan, you get to work from home. You run 3 companies. You're the CEO. You do very, very well at this stage. You're achieving all of your goals and dreams, and you're helping others do the same. How dare you not be willing to post on social media, right? The only reason you get to work from home is because there's a global marketplace of 6 billion almost 6 billion, 5.65 billion people on the internet. And you and I would never have met if I didn't have any social media presence whatsoever, right? So a lot of people say, well, I don't like social media. Well, if you want to be a business owner, too effing bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. I love your mindset behind it. Just to get on a little side segment here quickly, I used to work in front end media production. So I used to be a broadcaster for professional sports teams. So I would be like on ESPN, MSG Plus, interviewing like coaches, players, all that good stuff, in stadium work, whatever. Cool. That was my dream, to be like on the camera, that person. And one day I absolutely fucking hated it. And I went behind the scenes. So instead of working in radio, this is when podcasting was so new. Nice. I've been in it ever since, and I never wanted to end up in front of the camera again. And as a, someone who goes on and on about how they can, I've grown many of clients' podcasts, like I brought up Ezra Firestone, Gary Vaynerchuk I've worked with, Shailene Johnson, very big podcasters, and I've optimized their content. I've grown their content, millions and millions of views, right? How can I do that for them when I can't prove that I do it for myself? Mm-hmm. So I've brought myself back in front of the camera finally. And I've just reframed my thinking behind it. Like I said before we just started recording, I said, just pretend you're on a FaceTime call with a friend. Nice. I just see it as, okay, like two people are on like a FaceTime or business call, and it just happens to be recording. That's the way I put my brain around it, to reframe it. Because I find that, I have a lot of clients and they struggle. They're like, I don't know, like I don't have the face. I have the face for radio. I can't have a video podcast. And I'm like, just reframe your mind around it and we'll make it work.
Well, there's a lot of successful podcasters that aren't super good looking too. So at the end of the day,
yeah.
And it's really cool that you've come full circle on that, because I was an engineer and I went into corporate and I did very, very, very well in engineering. And then I was like, you know what? No, screw corporate, screw engineering. I don't want to do that. And here I am teaching engineering and reverse engineering finish lines, goals, metrics, priorities, habits, skills, and identity to business owners. So I'm giving trainings back at my old school, and I'm giving trainings to business owners, and I'm going into corporate again. It's a full circle thing. And
yes,
this is the way I see it. Obviously you got lost back in the day, and so did I. Right? We got lost because you wanted to be doing all of that, and I wanted to be successful in corporate. Mm-hmm. And then we lost our self within all that, I'm assuming. Yeah. And then we go back and we find ourselves, and we quit and we start this new journey, and then we find ourselves back on a similar path, but now we are more able to handle it and what comes with it. And now we have the self-worth to actually pick and choose what we want to do. Whereas in the past, I feel like it was just, I lost myself in all that stuff. I did. I too many friends, too much high school. I brought my high school friends to college, my college friends to corporate, there was a referral program. I bought them. It was just too much. And now that I'm grown, and I'm 36 now, again, I'm still a young leader, but I feel like now it's time for me to go back into corporate, but from my own company and from a different frame. And now I can come as a guide rather than someone within that system.
Yes, I love that. Like taking the lessons learned, reframing it, and it all comes first full circle, but just in a different way. But totally get what you're saying. That is so good. But what is your advice for business owners who feel like they don't have anything new to say in their industry? Yeah,
that's again common, very common, totally understandable to have these things. There is nothing new being said. We're all selling, this is what I tell my clients. We're all selling ice cream.
Yeah.
But we're all a different flavor. And I have found, again, over the 8 years in this space of podcasting, 2,000 episodes, interviews, hundreds of interviews, we're all selling ice cream, but we're all a different flavor. And the same exact message could be said, but needs to be said by a different person for a different person. So, for example, Kevin and I, we have a big event coming up on Saturday. Kevin and I are both speaking. There's certain things I've taught him that he's going to say that I've taught these people, but it's going to land different when he says it. And so all of this is just two things. Number one, you do not have to be at the top of the mountain to be a guide. All you have to do is be ahead of someone else. So, for example, when you ask me, what was my transition from corporate to business coach, I didn't become a business coach until I had a successful business because I needed to lead by example. So, but let's say I'm at level 6 on the metaphorical mountain of business. Amazon makes more in a day than we do all year, but we're doing pretty well. In the podcasting space, we're definitely the 1% of 1% of 1% in terms of revenue. Okay, so I don't need to be Joe Rogan to coach someone else on how to grow and scale their business. One of my clients, he's going for $3 million this year. And I have that little moment of, well, wait a minute, that's more than my company's going to make this year. Doesn't matter. I am ahead of him in understanding. And by the way, the irony too is he wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for our conversations. My point to everyone is this. Don't compare your real life to someone else's highlight reel, number one. Number two, you don't have to be at the top of Everest to be a guide to help people climb mountains. But I do agree that you need to lead by example. So as long as you are practicing what you preach and sharing the journey, not just the results, I think that the content will be valuable. And it's principle-based stuff anyway, right? We can have a million conversations about a million different things, but principles stay the same. The messenger matters, and someone needs to hear it from you specifically. It's your type of ice cream. Not everybody likes bubble gum. Not everybody likes black raspberry. Not everybody likes vanilla. Not everybody likes chocolate. So your brand is your uniqueness, and you don't have to be Tony Robbins to have a voice. Because at one point, Tony Robbins, no one knew him.
No, that's so good. Can definitely relate to that. Climbing Mount Everest, like I said, no one knows you're the industry expert unless you say it. And you don't even have to be the best. Example, I don't know if you're on this side of TikTok right now, but I am on Skinny Talk, and there's this woman, her name's Mina. I follow her. She's funny. She's great. She just talks about women's wellness, women's health, and how to live a thinner lifestyle. Very funny, but her audience has absolutely exploded. I've been following her since she was at 200,000 followers. Now she's over 1 million followers in, I think, like 3 or 4 months. An insane count. But if you go online and say, how to be skinny and look up stuff on TikTok, she's going to show up as the industry expert. Does that mean she has all the answers? And she'll be the first one to say that she doesn't have all the answers. 100%. No, but she is seen as that industry expert, that leading person climbing Mount Everest. Yeah. But just going off that, so to twist it back on you now, how are you using your podcast as a tool for both personal growth and business growth right now?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Personal growth and business growth in that order. It's a really cool thing you just did right there. Personal growth from the sense of I'm reading and doing my own personal development. So our podcast is about creating your own unique version of success. Next level you, pun intended, next level university, where you learn to reach your potential, your own unique potential, not mine, but your own unique. And so I'm doing my own personal development. I'm reading a book right now called Upstream by Dan Heath. And I get on the microphone with Kevin, my business partner, co-host. And we talk about things we're learning, things we're going through, things we're experiencing, things we're growing through, goals, dreams, metrics, priorities, habits, how to balance it, health, wealth, life, and love, all these different things. So number one, I learned just through contemplating with him on the show. Mm-hmm. It's just having deep conversations about life, health, wealth, and love. So that's how I do my own personal development on the show. And our show is very much, you are on the journey with us. We are not talking from some mountaintop. We're growing together. We are trying to figure out this life journey. We're only 35 and 36, so we don't have all the answers, but we're growing as we go. So that's number one. Number two is how do we use it to grow our business? So lead gen to some people sounds like overly salesy. We like to say, instead of I'm going to sell you, I'm going to help you. Instead of I'm going to sell you, I'm going to invite you. So we have a live event, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's entirely virtual. I've been inviting people to it.
Yeah.
Not selling them, inviting them. Hey, did you get the invite to Next Level Live? Just want to make sure you got the invite. Boom. So sales is based on how you frame it. So the podcast is lead gen. Number one, it's credibility. It shows that we're putting in the work. It shows that we're consistent. It shows that we're practicing what we preach. You can't have 2,000 episodes without missing a single day without practicing what you preach, right? Number two, we love to meet our listeners. I spoke at my alma mater 2 weeks ago, and I was just on Instagram with a 3.5-minute audio from someone who was at that speech, who was listening to our show, and I'm connecting with him. So that flywheel I started with of do it yourself, share your experience, generate sincere interest, build meaningful relationships, then you get to sell things. The meaningful relationship so at the end of my speech, I had a little slide that came up. It showed my Instagram account, DM me, hey, I saw you at WPI today. I got a bunch of messages. Okay, that's all leads. Some of them will coach with me, some of them won't. Some of them want to start businesses, some of them don't. That's okay. And so that's how you use the podcast is the podcast is the proof and the credibility. It's a place where you grow in your thing, personal development in my case, success, health, wealth, life, and love. And it helps you build meaningful relationships with your target audience in a way where you get to help them too. Because I have a 25-year-old I coach, his name's Cole. And I'll tell you what, if I was 25 again, and I'm teaching him things that took me 10 years of pain and failure.
Yeah.
So it's the most meaningful work in the world. And there's a part of me that's truly jealous that he has a guide in his corner that has been through it.
Yeah.
And I tell him this all the time. I can't help you skip steps, but I can definitely help you stay more aligned, which therefore you won't have to be off track as long as I was.
Right. Yes. I read something today that my lessons learned aren't unique. As in, this experience at failing is not unique. It can happen to anybody. So for you to share that and say, hey, for him to, not skip these steps, but lessons learned from. And, you said something great about your podcast, which caught my ear, is that you and your partner, more so, I call it, as Gary Vee says, document, don't create. Where more so you're talking about things out loud as you are going through them, opposed to more so, what's a topic that we're going to come up today? It's like, oh, we're going over this with this client. Why don't we just talk about it and record it? Because these are things that people are actually going through. So talk through it out loud is it like such valuable content. I love that. And I love your take on sales of more so reframing your mindset and rewording things as in you are doing them a favor and you are helping them opposed to, you're saying the words invite. I'm inviting you to. Mm-hmm. Instead of taking the other route. And you are like example on that thing on Saturday, you're giving, value. But what you're really doing is, the whole jab, hook method, just giving value and value. So I love your take and reframing your mindset on everything. But no, Alan, I really want to thank you for coming on. I have great stuff I've taken from this. Hopefully my audience, I think, will take a lot from this as too. But no, if you want to share your social media, share your book that's coming out and things like that, where people can find you, that would be great.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it. Again, like I said, it's an honor. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak into anyone's life at this point, because I do believe that what you pay attention to is very much dictating your future. I've come to realize that. Yeah, so thank you for having me. Regarding where people can find me, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at this point. Those are the three. Instagram's probably best, at alazarus88, ALAZAROS88. DM me. Say, hey, I saw you on this show. Just please provide context. Obviously, we all get a lot of spam these days, right? So just provide context. But the only other place, too, if you really enjoyed what I had to say, we have 2,000 episodes of, we call it a coach or a mentor or a guide in your pocket every single day, 1% improvement per day, Next Level You, Next Level University. If you want to become the best version of yourself, health, wealth, life, and love, and you really want to level up, too, the truth of the matter is it's not just going to work out. Kevin and I have seen so many people on this journey start out hot and then stay inconsistent and fail. We've seen so many people start podcasts or start social media or start fitness journeys, and they fall off and they fall off and they fall off and they fall off. And here we are 8 years later, and we've only grown, and it's been tough. It's been tough, but we've stayed consistent. And to the flywheel concept I started with, I'm going to share this. It makes me sad to see how many people do not achieve their dreams because they just can't stay consistent. I've had more success in the last 2 years than the previous 6 combined. And it's just because of consistency. And I just don't feel like a lot of people are setting themselves up for consistency and for staying power. And so that's what NLU is really for. It's thinking about the right things. It's having a mentor in your pocket every day, keeping you on track. So Next Level University, it's on YouTube, it's on all the podcast platforms, and reach out.
Yeah, no, that's so great. And I say consistency will always outbeat talent anytime. It's just proven to be true, fact after fact. But Alan, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, make sure you check out Alan's Next Level U. I will have his stuff linked below in the description. Please go follow him, check him out, send him a DM, even if you're just saying hello. And Alan, I cannot thank you enough for providing all that value for my audience, and we will definitely stay connected.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.